Welcome to Invisible Walls. This is a very special episode because Marcus has fallen ill, so I have assembled a crack team of 2 other people instead of the usual 4. We got Rob Kirkovich, who is, you edit for us once in a while. You've been here a long time on and off.
Yeah, I've been here since before the Viacom purchase, actually, when we worked in an airport hangar, or whatever the fuck that was.
You did a daily question this week with Ninjas that was very popular.
I did.
Ultimate Duck Hunting.
Come in and out,
Hummer Badlands. GT Classics.
Those are the things, yeah, that's when I peaked.
And Chris Nguyen is also
and
here.
Nijin.
What is it really?
When?
Black
When?
Chris.
Black
Chris. I didn't know you did the Ultimate Duck Hunting thing. I remember
yeah.
seeing that a long time ago, and I laughed my ass off.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it was fun.
You drew it as well, right?
It was great.
I did the art
You
design.
should get the B-roll of that.
There's gonna be an interesting review coming up. Justin's doing Xenoclash 2.
That should hopefully be up by this time.
And I'm helping him with that, and that's gonna be a little
It's looking
bizarre.
good.
We'll see.
Is there a special flair to it?
Yeah.
It sounds like I hear it in your voice.
Yeah, there's something you'll see.
Okay.
I mean, people have already seen it by this point.
Yeah.
Well,
Cat's out of the bag.
I don't want to build it up because
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
it'll
got it,
suck.
Maybe it never goes up.
Yeah, maybe it actually, maybe it'll be like a lost thing, like Thrill Kill.
How lost is that? Anyway, to get off the topic of rampant piracy in the late 90s, there was some big shit this week. And we kind of talked about it with our little testimonials, but what did you guys think about GTA in particular?
I'm way down. I'm pumped.
Yep.
I liked all 3 trailers. My favorite moments, I think, were the moments that seemed really story-driven. I mean, obviously, there's not any gameplay, so the whole thing was story-driven. But I loved just seeing like Michael lose his shit on the golf course, wondering what that's about. Seeing what seems to be him like racing against his son on bikes before his son says, "I can't handle this this midlife crisis."
Midlife crisis.
That's the kind of stuff that gets me amped for it. I'm really pumped.
So is Michael your favorite?
I think
People seem to be
people are waiting
gravitating towards
Trevor.
one.
Yeah, I mean, Trevor looked cool too. Trevor's got the best performance moment, I think, when he says shit's gonna get wild or whatever, and you see him kind of do this scrunch up, and he gets all pumped.
How do you think all the characters meet?
I think
Like
they
in the
might be
game.
connected through Michael because it seems like Michael already knows Trevor from
He says,
something.
yeah, doesn't he say he's my best friend? Or
Yeah,
something?
like there's something there, right? And then not Trevor.
Franklin?
Franklin.
When
Franklin.
in doubt, just think of the one black peanut
I don't get it.
from
Oh,
the
Charlie
Peanuts.
Brown.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, Charlie Brown. Okay, okay.
And then you're like, oh, what?
I thought you meant like
Rich
a real.
is nodding his head. He's
I thought you
pumped.
meant like an actual peanut. I was like, what are you talking
Oh, no,
about?
no.
Like a brand of anyway. Yeah, like so Franklin, he obviously doesn't know him because in one of the earlier trailers, not from this latest 3, he was like, "You're like the son I never had," or something like that.
Oh, right, right.
Remember
I
that?
have a weird theory, and I think it's wrong, but I think Trevor says he's like starting to see a shrink, and Michael's obviously seeing a shrink. I'm wondering if maybe somehow like they meet there, and like maybe Franklin. I know it seems kind of weird,
That'd
but
be cool.
they are all, other than being like somewhat involved in criminal activities, they are all kind of like very different folk.
Yeah.
So I'm still kind of curious how that's going to all come together. I think the mixed protagonist thing's interesting. I mean, we saw, I think Patrick mentioned this, like with Resident Evil 6, it didn't really work out.
Yeah.
But
Well, because
right,
they tried to, they tried to
Yeah.
change the gameplay
And-
for each character, right?
yeah, that's a good point. And it is, the question is like, are these characters going to be like? It's like if I can't remember the characters in GTA 4, but if you sided with certain people, you got certain boosts
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stuff like that. I'm curious if characters are going to play particularly different, like. Can only Trevor get into the strip club or something like that, or they can only use certain type of
Well,
guns,
maybe Trevor will be
or
the
will
only
it all
one
be
who-
personality driven?
Maybe Trevor,
Personality-driven.
maybe Trevor will be the only one who flies planes or something like that. They might.
I don't know if that would fly. I mean, limiting people in an open world game is just asking for trouble, right? I really just think it's going to be plot driven. Like,
Yeah.
when you're doing Michael stuff, I'm assuming you're going to be doing like mafia related things. You're going to be doing the robbing the banks, doing the stuff. When you're
Black Peanut?
Yes.
Franklin.
God damn. When you're Franklin, it's just juggling 3 names all at
Yeah,
once
I
that I
know.
learned in a single day.
They're tough.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're playing as Franklin, it seems like you're going to be doing, I can imagine this sounds so bad. Are you going to be doing drive-bys? Like, what are you going to be doing,
Right.
right? And then
Trevor.
I'm glad you're here, Rob.
Travis is equal. Well, I cut the whole reaction video, so now
I had them all down for the reaction video, too, and I can't do
Travis and
shit.
Trevor, they both sound kind of white trashy. No offense to our
But
Travis.
yeah, you see him flying a bunch of stuff, right? So he's going to be doing like the craziest bombastic stuff. Like he's going to be the one flying airplanes and doing jet bombs and shit like that over like mansions or something. You know, I just see like their plot missions are going to be focused around that, whereas you can still always, no matter who you are, go around and fuck shit.
So
up if you
gameplay
want
wise,
to.
they're just palette swaps.
Yeah.
But that's what I like
That's
about.
what I think.
That's what I liked about the concept in this one.
Who knows?
Of Trevor, because at least now there's a character who seems insane to justify those times you want to play the game where you go crazy. Because that's something I never could do.
When you're like, I'm not going to do any plot missions. I'm just going to see how many people I can run over.
because people like to play the game that way for sure.
Yeah, totally.
You know, and I feel when I played GTA 4, I never really wanted to do that type of shit, like running around and murdering people.
Because Nico's like a nice guy.
Yeah, because I kind of felt like that's not in Nico's code, you know? So I never did it because I felt that wasn't true to the character, which is, you know, probably me being too precious with it. But
I also noticed, I mean, again, it's not gameplay, but there seemed to be a lot of like melee stuff, like, and I hated the punching. You know, like the first like 2 hours of GTA 4, like when you finally get a gun, you're like, thank God. But you know, there's like the guy was like shoving like a rifle butt in someone's face and punching and stuff. I really hope they're not trying to, like, I hope I'm not reading too much into this for like gameplay stuff. I hope they're not gonna have a big focus on like weird melee stuff.
they have suddenly do like an Arkham thing.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think they should
Sleeping
kind of stick.
dogs.
Like, I mean, I like the weird physics stuff. I like the weird reactions to stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where I hope that they kind of stick.
It's the rage engine, man.
The other big kind of reveal this week was Call of Duty. Again, we did a reactions video.
I guess you'd call it a reveal, right?
It was pretty weird. I'm curious where their mind state is. This was cut from my reaction thing, but like they've done cryptic teases before. Like the No Russia level was teased as kind of like a radar blueprint before, like the elevator going off, and it was all like just green and black and like really mysterious. This seems mysterious, but with no real payoff, or not even mysterious. It seems almost.
It just seems like they want. I mean, because you're talking. It's just a live action mask thing, right? I mean.
And then I don't know, like, isn't Black Ops already, like a Black Ops group is already kind of like a Splinter Cell sort of thing. And here it's like
going
ghosts.
secreter here, man. We're going secretist.
More secret.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
this is.
I mean, we're really grasping at straws, right? It's dudes with skulls on their faces, and you can pre-order it.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could have just been like a JPEG. It could have just been an image saying. It could have been a guy.
GIF.
A GIF if you wanted to have him actually lower the mask. In how many frames? What is a GIF? Like 16 frames or something?
You can choose, but the colors have to be 64, like 128. Dithered.
Does everyone have that? Get that at home?
Photoshop.
Write that down. Yeah, I mean, I guess the point of it is just as an announcement, but at the same time.
Watch it on the 21st, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Teases are weird, right?
I feel like it could have just been a press release, you know?
I guess they have to spend some of that money, I guess.
You gotta give some work to the people who have those ridiculous masks.
Oh, they're too busy giving it to Bobby Kotick.
The Illuma Room. I know I made you watch this, Rob.
Oh, man.
I'm way down. As somebody who occasionally smokes weed when he plays video games, I can see the benefits.
But you only do this in Colorado or
Washington?
in Washington, right?
Those are the only places where it's no, California, because it's.
Oh, you have the card.
Got a prescription, man. Actually, I think it expired. Don't tell anybody that. Yeah, it's surprisingly easy to get, by the way. You can give them any excuse. They do not give a shit.
Folks at home, there you go.
Yeah.
Winners don't use drugs. Sound up.
I said I had stress. I said as an aspiring actor.
I think you're actually making me sweat
easily
right
get
now.
But
I turned red.
So yeah, I could see sort of the novelty of this Illuma Room.
Illuma Room for people with glaucoma.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can have snow falling. I wonder if you could switch up and tell it like you want snow to fall, but in a different. You're playing a different type.
So
of game.
is this like the cheapest version of the holodeck ever existed? Do you remember that before the Wii was announced, like some guy from like Portugal, I think, or maybe Brazil, he released that Mario Nintendo On thing where it looked like you were going to wear a VR set, but the room would be painted. I mean, that's the kind of vibe I get. The kind of, I know it's. I don't know. It doesn't seem actually appealing. It seems interesting.
It seems interesting.
It seems like it has to be that missing link between the next thing. Like you have to stumble and fall, right?
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine it's actually going to be anything. Because doesn't it say in the video, we need the code for the game in order to make this work? And I can't imagine any like publisher or developer being like, yeah, okay, here.
They make
it.
those, like the Universal Cities rides, where like Universal Studios rides, where like you sit in the things and they shake and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Some movies are coded for, like you can buy those for home if you're a billionaire. And they have like 75 movies that would actually do the movements and stuff like that. Yeah. Or I think they read it through the soundtrack.
Well, they try to bring that back. They try to add those like chairs in certain movie theaters. I know there's one at The Man 6. Yeah. It's called like Rumble Tumble. I can't remember what it's called, but it's like chair. My buddies wanted to go see the last Fast and Furious in Rumble Tumble.
Did you?
We did, but the Rumble Tumbles were sold out because it was only like 2 rows worth. And I heard it was just garbage anyway. You just kind of shakes you around when Vin Diesel flexes.
It is interesting looking at Microsoft versus like a Google or maybe even an Apple, where Microsoft does do the Zune and it fails, and they did that phone, the Kin, and it fails. They had the Microsoft Surface, which was basically a giant
Table?
iPad before, a giant iPad before, and it never went anywhere. I mean, a couple of hotels bought them.
Maybe?
Yeah, like not for
handful.
consumers.
Yeah.
And then Apple had the Newtons and they completely failed, but now we have iPhones and iPads and stuff like that. They had the weird little form factor PCs that didn't work, like the Cube, but then like the iMacs are really successful. And then Google's just like, hey, more stuff. Google Glasses, they're not officially out, but you can buy one if you want. That kind of stuff. So I'm curious if this is going to actually go anywhere, if Microsoft's just going to let it peter out or something like that.
I have a lot of questions after seeing something like that, especially because it's like kind of like the whole Kinect thing. You have to have a living room for that. A lot of there are a lot of gamers out there that have their Xbox part of their PC set up as on a monitor. I personally have a TV in my room, and it's just I'm going blind because it's a 40-inch TV, like 3 feet from my face.
Right.
I can't have a Luma room in my room. A Luma room in my room.
The irony.
That's like a little kid song from Sesame Street or something. Has to be.
No, that's a really good point.
You know what I'm saying though? Like it has to be on your coffee table, and it has to face towards your TV. So a lot of people's living rooms might not even support something like that.
I mean, it's annoying to even set up like 5.1 speakers.
Well, my
living room
totally is. My living room won't even. I can't even do Connect. I'm too jammed in there.
But I mean, think of this. Like they said that I remember listening to like the little bit that they had where they're describing how it works and how it functions, and it's like you can either have it directly plugged in from your system. I don't think they said 360, but from your system, and that's like another piece of hardware that has to go from your whatever mysterious Xbox or 360, goes to the Illuma Room projector, and then it projects on your wall that's behind the TV.
Right.
And you see you saw the image that it's projecting, right? It's scanning your room and taking a picture of it, and then it's projecting it on top of the room.
Right.
So it's like a video, an image of my hand being projected over my hand. It's really weird. And
well, I guess that's how they're able to do the thing
that's
where
with
it's
the
around
waves,
the furniture and stuff too.
Yeah. So like you saw the waves pulsating and stuff. It's because it's messing with the image of your room, not obviously the real physics of the room.
It seems too much like an old Looney Tunes like House of Tomorrow thing. That's interesting, but you'd never actually expect to have it.
It's like a 50s version of the future.
Yeah.
But now it's a 2013 version of 2018.
But this is what I was going at, was if it has to be connected to your console, that means your console has to be talking to it.
Right.
And when your console is talking to something, it's eating up processing power. So, I mean, who knows if the 720 is or Infinity or whatever, if it's going to be 60 frames, but if you have a Luma Room, it's 30 frames. It's like the 3DS's 3D. It's like when it's off, there are some really smooth games on that. But when you turn it on, it gets really framey.
No, that's
see what I'm saying? So, like, I personally, if it does everything that it says it does, I don't even want it. You know what I mean? Like with Kinect, I saw Kinect and I was like, if it works, that's going to be cool.
Right.
Everyone was thinking if it works, and if it works exactly how they're describing it, if it's perfectly accurate and everything, that's cool. Too bad it was far from it. If Illuma Room works, I'm not even appealed to it at all.
Yeah.
So that's just me, though.
Right now it feels like novelty, but who knows? Maybe they'll figure out something cool about it.
And using our retro future line from before, I'm going to
segue
into...
Do we have a segue drop? I'll make one up.
Oh, sure.
I'm cutting the episode.
There may be some commentary.
Which now
running.
I'm realizing it's going to be an existential hell. So I watch myself talk about bullshit.
Far Cry 3 Blood Dragon. Rob, you love R-rated movies from the 80s.
I love R-rated movies from the 80s.
By the way, everyone go see Dread. It's actually really good. Rent it, I should say, at this point.
Or find
Dread
someone
3D.
who has it, and then I've got it. Everyone can come over. Let's watch it.
Blu-ray?
I've got it on Blu-ray. I don't have a 3D TV.
That's
fine. Yeah, it looks fucking awesome. I'm so pumped. I mean, just the playing Long Tall Sally, Little Richard song that was in Predator. When you're in a helicopter with a fucking minigun, that's all I needed to see. I'm down.
Yeah, we were talking last week about how DLC kind of does these weird waves and stuff, but this is the kind of thing that I love to see. The fact that it is standalone, you don't even have to own
That's
Far
awesome.
Cry. I can see people being a little upset if if you're a person who beelines the game, even though it is, it's a small open world, but it's an open world.
Yeah.
It is a 4-hour game if you
Right.
do beeline it. And then my kind of complaint was you power up too rapidly, so the challenge kind of goes away, but just going through the experience, and at a $15 price point, it would have been better if it was 10, but
Yeah,
whatever. It's just fun to be in this world and do stuff, and you can play stealthy, and there are some times where you kind of have to, the hostage situations. But then just being enwrapped in this crazy world, this color scheme outside of Tron that you're never going to see.
I love that aesthetic has made a comeback.
And then there's the kind of the 16-bit Ninja Gaiden sort of cinemas, and they constantly surprised me. The voice acting's there, the jokes fit. Even there's the recycled stuff where he'll do the rock shock or flip the bird every once in a while, but it's spread out enough that you get happy when you see it again. And I know we were talking a little bit about Saints Row before. I know I'm not the biggest Saints Row fan, but it's not thematics, it's how the game actually works within its own realm. And they did a good job. And the big additions of the actual Blood Dragons, which have some faults as well.
Right.
But that's enough for, even if you're a big Far Cry player, this is a real new X factor, a new element to really deal with. Also, I didn't notice until I ran straight into one, their inner palette has a giant skull.
Oh, really?
So when they're going like this, there's a lot of little hidden details
cool.
too. I didn't pick up on the Predator thing that you just mentioned.
It
I haven't
seems like
seen
it's
Predator
chock
in a
full
long
of. I
time.
mean, it seems like it's full of all those references. I can't wait to play it. It also has it does a lot of VHS effects, right? Like the loading screen,
Tracking.
and then even you see a fake interlaced effect too,
There's,
right? Don't you
there's
see
scan
and
lines
stuff?
on,
Yeah.
on the ceiling. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Almost
Which
Skybox.
is yes.
I don't- that's
the
why I
world
don't-
is NTSC.
That's why I don't mind giving them $15 as opposed to 10, because I want to reward at least the creativity or the ambition to say.
Yeah, show that this is something that people that would like to play, and it's a well received
And-
Yeah.
idea, right?
And I say it's the 4 hours, clean up the island. You're maybe looking at do everything, probably 10 hours. I don't really know. I didn't do everything. I did clear all the garrisons, which are the enemy strongholds.
Yeah.
And that was around 7 hours. But this leads up to where we were talking about games are getting more and more expensive to create. And I think we're used to seeing these $5, $10, $15 games, but I want to see the $25 digital download game that has these wrappings, but maybe it doesn't have multiplayer.
Right, right.
I think I just almost spit on you. I'm sorry.
No, it turned me on.
Nice. And then I really see if this game was $25 but was padded out a little bit longer, that's the kind of experience I'd be really, really down for, because $25 is still way less than $60.
Yeah.
It's a bold move. I mean, it started as people thought it was an April Fool's joke.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, this is a game where I even like its marketing.
I think it's great. The website for it was amazing because it looked like this shitty GeoCities thing.
Best viewed in Netscape.
Even though there was not even any, there were no websites around during the era that this is clearly referencing.
Nope, go for
so they
sites.
just went for the first type of website that would have existed, which is those shitty things with the little flashing.
Is there a tracker? How many people have visited this website?
I think so. Yeah, it's got all that stuff. It's amazing, and I'm just pumped to see. I feel like it's weird. I feel like in the last year there's been a strange, at least in movies, there's been a real. People have been calling back to the '80s, especially '80s action movies. Like Dredd did it. This last Universal Soldier movie that came out is insane. And it's a total.
I didn't even hear of this one.
It's Jean-Claude Van Damme, Dolph Lundgren, who are in the original, but it's so brutal and intense, and it's this weird indie action movie. But anyway, the point is that people are starting to finally go back and embrace the ridiculousness of '80s action. I think, which is great.
Yeah, and this definitely has parody in it. It's not playing it really straight. I remember when I played Shank, which was a little 2D
yeah.
game. It took itself so seriously,
Yeah.
and I was kept waiting for it to kind of
Wink
crack,
at you.
and,
Yeah.
it didn't. But this doesn't do it so much where it's, I mean, it's pretty wacky, but it never goes too far past the line.
And Michael Bihn's the lead guy, right?
Yeah, great voice acting. I mean,
He's-
the story's actually conveyed well, even though it's all just jokes, and like I don't really care that much. But
Yeah.
I mean, even the loading screen made me laugh out loud. I did an LOL.
You LOL'd?
Yes,
No
in
shit.
the very first loading screen, because I wasn't expecting it. You know, they give you tooltips.
Yeah.
It just said grenades explode. I was like, good job, Blood Dragon. Good job.
Is it the same, like, I know is it any of the same team that made Far Cry 3, you know what I mean? Or did they hire somebody externally?
Well,
work
I
on
mean,
it, or how did the whole process go?
Ubisoft Montreal's huge, so I would have to check through the names, but the writers are different. But I would have to assume that some of the same team. And of course, I talked about that $25 game, and obviously they're building on the engine and expertise
Yeah.
from that. So this is not, you know, a lot of the groundwork was paid for this, but like, there's not that many reused assets. Some of the animals, some of the animations.
Is it all at night
but-
though? Is it all that sort of what we've seen in the trailers, where
It
it's all?
kind of has a weird palette shift, but it's not exactly night and day. It is kind of a dark game.
So if it was longer, would you want to see more variation and sort of?
There's some stuff they could do, but there's like weather effects and lightning
okay.
and stuff, so it's cool.
Sweet.
I would say check it out. I liked it a lot.
plan to.
Good DLC.
Looks like I got a few more guys to kill.
So, continuing this weird episode of Invisible Walls, we have the creators of Seedlings here. We have Justin Ingelmo. I said that somewhat correctly.
Yeah, sure.
Black Justin. John Finger, which is also a weird last name, and Ian Hink. So I guess the first question is just for, you know, not so many people on GT the site may have seen Seedlings. Who wants to give us like a brief rundown of what the series is?
Justin does. Yeah, so Seedlings is a narrative machinima series, and we film it using Minecraft, which you can tell by looking at it. And yeah, it's a cool show.
You're doing really well.
That's good.
Following the villagers of the town.
Yeah,
it's about
yes.
NPC villagers in a game like Minecraft.
So when Red versus Blue first came out, you know, and everyone, I think people kind of like really liked it and gelled up to it. And then the guys were like, it is so much harder than you would ever think. We thought it was going to be easy. I'm just curious, did you guys have the same? But you know, Minecraft lets you build stuff, so it does kind of give you that leeway. I'm like, what are the, from the crafting
so
side,
much
like
harder.
what's the hard part? Or is it hard?
We just had, there's a lot of like little things we didn't think about. Even like, you know, it took us a month to even start filming before we were like, okay, we actually
Shaders
understand
wouldn't work, and then like
and
computer-
capturing, we
yeah.
were getting ridiculously bad frame rates for Justin's top of the line computer. It was ridiculous. And then, you know, even afterwards, we had weird things like, I do little visual effects where I thought I'd be motion tracking stuff in. I mean, I do motion track stuff in, but when I do that, it ends up being way more complicated than I thought, because I thought it'd be like, okay, a bunch of blocks, that's easy to track. But because of the aliasing, the way they move, and the way it changes the image to make it so that it could render it quickly, it kind of distorts everything and makes it so it actually ends up being really hard to track. So I have to, by hand, track every scene.
And we didn't account for how long everything would take when we had the idea and we're like, hey, this will be sweet. We don't even have to shoot anything. We can just go and make this show real fast and it'll be no problem.
Yeah.
But capturing one episode takes like 8 to 10 hours. Like editing it takes, you know,
That's
6 or
easy
7.
episode.
That's an easy episode. It takes like 2 or 3 hours per episode per actor for voices. And then the VFX, if there are any, and the sound takes like days.
It's definitely a labor of
I
love.
noticed your lip sync's a little off. So,
Yeah, that's the thing. Red vs. Blue had it easy because they got something covering the mouths.
Yeah,
Yeah, they got helmets. We're like,
Yeah, we thought about it for a minute, but
yeah. But yeah, and
do
so-
you guys ever shoot like 2 cameras, or is it always kind of a very one camera sort of shot? You know what you're going for.
the shaders we have a problem getting running on computers.
machines.
yeah, so
So his computer's the only
It's a
one that has the
miracle.
shader,
Yeah.
so like it's always one camera shoot, and if we need coverage, we just shoot it another.
Does the randomness of Minecraft ever affect the shots?
Oh,
like
totally.
creepers show
Yeah.
up or something, or do you have everything like
we have
tailored?
mobs turned off. But
Yeah.
They sometimes come in, like
sometimes show
just
up.
start spawning and working all of a sudden.
yeah, it's really weird. Or like for a while, we were running a version of Minecraft where we couldn't stop the rain, And so all of a sudden it just start raining in the middle of a shot, and I was like, Jesus, just like filming in real life. Like, like we said, all right, wait for weather. Like, okay, it's done.
And then in an
And
ironic
started
turn of
filming.
events, in a recent episode, we needed it to rain,
And it didn't
and it took us like an entire day to get the rain to work again, because like something was messed up with the shaders and stuff. It wouldn't
You ever
show
see
up.
the 12 Monkeys documentary about the
No.
hamster in the cage?
No.
They couldn't shoot for like 2 days because the hamster wouldn't run on the little wheel thing. Okay, we explained the show. We've talked about how hard it is to do and the craft behind it. I think the other thing is people expect internet stuff. I mean, I think it's no secret. We can cut this out if we need to. But you work on Hey Ash.
Yeah.
And Hey Ash is known for going a little blue at times. And is it you guys definitely have like a funny vibe going, but you keep it kind of like PG 12 and a half?
We want the whole show to be like, our aim was, we realized partway through that like if we hit the same demographic as like Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon, not the movie, then we'd be doing okay, because like it's for kids, but like everyone can watch it and everyone enjoys it.
Yeah, like all of us we all come from filmmaking backgrounds, and really all of our previous stuff and the other stuff that we're working on now, like I couldn't really show it to my 9-year-old cousin that plays Mike. I mean, I could, but I'd be a shitty cousin. And so like we had never, I personally, I know we had talked about this, so I think you guys were in the same boat, but we had never made anything that doesn't
Positive?
that's positive or not.
I saw that one thing you
or
did.
not violent.
everything
Bug
I
was
do-
in it.
Yeah. Everything I do is like violent or nihilistic. Or
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
it took me a second to get on the page, because I remember our first time we were talking about how we were going to encounter Dragon Master. I was like, all right, so I'm going to animate in Mark grabbing the arrow out of the air, running, jumping over another arrow, doing a flip and throwing the first arrow, then catching another one and throwing that one. 2 arrows hit Dragon Master. He grabs the sword out of his hand, stabs him, and he lands on the ground.
And then Justin and I were just like, I don't think we're on the same page right now.
Sounds like Finger.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we
So-
find ways to have Finger do crazy fun things too. So.
Like the little
Yeah.
like fairy sprite thing in the opening, right? I'm assuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah,
That was my first attempt at tracking, where I realized that the tracking was going to be more difficult than tracking real life. So,
Because the parallaxing and everything.
yeah.
So I think the kind of one of the elephant in the room is well, without going into metrics, I know it's been doing really well on the Xbox app, which you can download right now on Xbox Live.
Actually works really well.
But I mean, I think it's I think there's no secret if you look at the comments. The GT audience hasn't really. I mean, I like it, but what's your guys' kind of reaction as these creators to kind of this gamer community being kind of down on it?
Yeah, well, I mean, for the most part, like, it's a very positive and light and happy show, and I don't think that
Things people hate.
Yeah, or the GT audience, I mean, like, is pretty hardcore. Like, I wouldn't come looking for seedlings at gt.com, like, personally, if I were a viewer. And so, like, I understand that there is a lot of disdain or not, that people don't like it, and it's also not standalone. Like, it works, it's a narrative series, it works, you want to grow with the characters, you want to like the characters over time. I mean, you can jump in and like the aesthetic of it, but if you want to, I think the more you get out of it is like when you watch them all. And so even like, it's awesome that we're doing super well on Xbox, and that community is really embracing us, like, and like coming to Facebook and Twitter and giving us like a lot of love, which is awesome. It really helps out. But we knew kind of from the beginning that we wanted to tell this really big story, and so it might take a while for people to kind of get on that train and realize, like, oh, this is it. They're not just making little jokes. Like, this is a
There's
story.
continuity.
Yeah, there's continuity. They're going somewhere. Like, we're trying to take things.
Or just
and
like
tell
thinking like Avatar: The Last Airbender again. I didn't get into that until the entire series was done.
Well, and then also, besides the lightheartedness, I think that's even something people aren't even getting a chance to notice, because we are kind of late to the game with the Minecraft thing. A lot of people have made Minecraft content, and that already blew up on YouTube, and people have gotten sick of it, and a lot of GT people are kind of probably the people that were some of the earlier people to download Minecraft and to get sick of it, So I think a lot of people are not clicking. I mean, I could be wrong, but it seems like a lot of people don't want to even deal with that, because they're like, I've seen a million machinimas, and that are Minecraft, and it's all the same junk.
Is
and-
Machinima even as, like, I know obviously there's the network on YouTube, but I mean, is like Machinima in the sense that making theatrical productions through game engines, is that even still really a thing as much as it was back in the day?
Yeah.
I don't know that it
Like,
was
I know
ever
the
really
red
a
versus
thing.
blue guys are still super
Yeah,
popular.
they were the
but-
thing.
I mean, I think there's a new era.
But people were trying it a lot, I felt. Like, I don't see it popping up as much as it
Yeah,
used to.
it's entering like a new phase, I think, because like people like Valve and Crysis or whatever, they're putting out like cinema tools with their stuff and whatever. And like for us, for our story, it just makes sense to be a machinima. Like the form of it is the function of it too, and like just like they're, you know, it's a metaphor for living and whatever. Like you're trapped in your game, we're trapped in this reality.
Well, it's so
like,
great
blah,
that like
blah.
everyone knows the whole town and the forest. Well, I mean, I guess some of that stuff, you know, was you let the game kind of decide, but then you guys, like the buildings and stuff, obviously you guys had to actually, you know, build
Yeah.
those in the game. Like people know the hard work you have to put into it for it to happen, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah, we wanted to
That's the fun
maintain that it. Yeah, we wanted, like, it was really important for us to like maintain that it is a machinima. Like John does awesome effects and there's great effects in it, but it's only like maybe 10-20% of the show. Like we really wanted to.
If that.
Yeah, if
Not
that.
even that,
Yeah.
probably.
In some episodes, there's absolutely no
Totally.
visual effects, and we really wanted, like, if we could have people, you know, feel emotion or get involved in a story, and then also realize, like, oh, like they just did this in the game. Like I could go out and do this.
Well-
I could go out and tell a story.
That's my kind of my next question. Not
Yeah.
exactly, but did you guys ever open up the server? Is there a
Yeah,
season
There's a
server?
live
we have a
server, yeah.
yeah.
Okay, well we'll put that URL right
mc.cdshow.com.
Yeah.
so people can go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
And,
usually like 10 people in there at all times.
Oh, that's crazy.
It's pretty cool, yeah.
Can you drink pumpkin mash?
There are potions, but
We'll
pumpkin
probably
mash
have
we made up.
a,
so.
a party.
It's actually
party.
Jack Daniels, right?
No comment.
Children's show.
No, it's
do you-
alcohol free.
O'Douls. Do you guys have a favorite episode for the season? I know they're not all done yet, but is there a certain episode maybe people should tune into?
5's pretty good.
Yeah.
We all have high hopes for 8.
Yeah. 8's the one that is killing us. It's like our biggest production yet.
It's crazy.
It's pretty wild.
Yeah, that one's.
That's
It'd
where we're
take
at
me a
right
little
now.
while.
Yeah.
4 is like, if any is like a standalone, watch only one episode, 4 is a lot of fun.
Which is out right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
5
Yeah.
hit the Xbox today, too.
So check out episode 4. Check out Seedlings in its entirety.
Yeah. Watching the whole thing is probably a better experience.
I would say definitely, if episode 1 doesn't grab you, watch episode 2. You guys did a lot of setup in episode 1, and it's
Yeah.
good. But I think episode 2, just to be honest,
No, yeah.
really hits the
Episode
stride.
1, episode 1 is like the calm before the storm. Episode 2
It's
is
a
where the
pilot,
show
right?
like actually kind of
Yeah.
starts.
Yeah.
1 and 2 are kind of like, we see them as like a pilot
Yeah.
together.
We also
Totally
kind of
agree.
were catching our footing there.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
like you could see
Like
that.
the pacing on 1 and 2, it's okay, but it's not great. Like I feel like we've been getting tighter and better and better as
We've
the
been
series
figuring
is
out
going.
what we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 and 2. Don't skip 3 and 4, but 4 is really good. You can see Seedlings. You can watch it now on GameTrailers or on Xbox Live with the GameTrailers app.
Yeah.
5 will be up on Monday.
Cool. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.
Hey, you, back off!
So we're going to do an on-the-hook question, and then we, with our special guest Rob, he has a topic he would like to discuss as well. But the on-the-hook question comes from the Lord X, and he was wondering, with DuckTales and Castle of Illusion getting remakes, are there any old classics you'd like to see to get a remake or a re-release?
Yeah, Michael Jackson's Moonwalker.
Are you just trying to be funny?
No, that game was fucking awesome. Did you ever play that?
I did play it.
On Genesis?
Yeah.
I mean, it's different. The arcade one's different.
No, I played the Genesis one. I know in between scenes, there's just a little tiny Michael Jackson face, and then he goes, woo! And
yeah,
it's like
they
a little
only,
digitized thing.
they only animate his mouth.
Yeah. And then you press like your special move is you make everyone dance to death.
Yeah, if you hold it, well, if you tap it, then I think you just throw your hat, clearly. And then, but if you hold it down, then you get everyone to dance around you.
I have to be honest, I don't think I ever played that game maybe past the first level, which is Billie Jean. No, it's a Smooth Criminal, right? Is the
Smooth
first
It's in the
Criminals-
pool hall, right?
The first song, yeah.
Yeah.
But the most frustrating part of it is when you get to the graveyard, they don't play Thriller. They play Another Part of Me, right? Or Part of Me, I can't remember the name of the song. But, and it's just like, where the fuck is Thriller? You got zombies. and
Probably
no
couldn't
Thriller?
license it, huh?
I think I just spit on you this time.
Nice. Chris, your turn. Does Joe Pesci show up?
Joe Pesci shows up. You can catch, if you know where to go at a certain level, you can catch a fucking falling star and turn into a giant robot that then sends out homing missiles. And it would be great because you would, if they redid it, then you could actually just hear a non-digitized version of every song in the level, which would be great.
Oh, you'd want it to be the original score?
Yeah, I mean, you might as well use the real use the real songs.
That's interesting.
I mean, actually, the digital versions were really well done. But
Well, I mean, who knows? Because I mean, I know his kids were left like 160 unreleased songs. But maybe they'll want to go back to the bank too at a certain point. Maybe they'll re-release it.
I feel like every 5 years or so, people are reminded about how amazing Michael Jackson is, even when he was alive. In the last 15, since he sort of dropped off in terms of his quality of music and stuff. It's like every 5 years or so, people are like, oh shit, Michael Jackson was amazing. So maybe we're due for one in maybe 2 more years. So maybe there'll be a new. Because what was that? I was really pumped for the Kinect Michael Jackson game.
Oh, it was on the Wii too. It came with a glove.
But I remember it never really.
It came with a sparkly glove.
I never played it, but it sounded like it didn't light the world on fire. No one was really losing their shit about it.
Was he dead by then? I don't even remember.
I think he was.
I think he was too.
Weird.
Was it called the Michael Jackson Experience?
I think you're
Yeah.
right. I just remember it came with that glove.
The
Pre-order
glove.
Was it a pre-order
A
bonus?
sparkly glove.
Was it a special edition or pre-order bonus?
I may have just sent it to us because we're.
No, I think it was
Sorry.
I think it was like a special thing.
Yeah. Do you have a game, Chris?
I mean, I can't think of one that's like straight up from like NES, whatever. So I'm thinking of like an obscure one.
Yeah.
And that is the non-Genesis Shinobi. I had a Game Gear. Like I was like the only person I ever knew that owned a Game Gear. 6 AA's. Anyway.
Jesus Christ.
Like 2-hour battery life. But yeah, like one of my favorite games on there was the Shinobi games for Game Gear, which they play completely different from the Genesis.
really? I
ones.
don't even remember
Yeah,
how they
yeah,
looked.
So like the Genesis ones is one dude going around killing a bunch of ninjas, like just going left to right. Where the Game Gear one was like a team of ninjas, and they had a color associated to them based on the power. It was like really cool. The red one was the red one was fire based. The blue one was like water based. Like
Were you into the Power Rangers at this point?
I was really into Power Rangers at this point. Yes, I actually had the Power Rangers game on Game Gear as well. But going back to Shinobi, like
So it wasn't a side scroller?
it was a side scroller, but it was also very vertical.
Okay.
So like there were levels that you just had to go up and down, and like I mean it wasn't just left and right. And there was some like what you had to do is every set of levels leading up to the boss, you saved one of your fellow ninjas from your team, and you'd be able to use him in other levels to access other areas.
So
it's like
each level would be you'd be a different ninja, or could you actually
you can
switch
choose
out?
which one you wanted to start with.
That sounds awesome.
And like there were some ninjas that's like they could stick to ceilings and walk under ceilings, and one could like walk on water so you can access another area. It was really like I mean I don't know, maybe it's just nostalgia kicking in, but I thought it was like a really crazy deep game because I was like, man, you can actually do a lot of shit. You're not just killing everything. It was a really easy game though. Like the bosses are not that hard, but I'd like to see. I don't know, something like that resurrected on as an XBLA PSN type of game.
Ninjas are popular. And you had a question as a special guest that you'd like to talk about, huh?
Well, wait. What about you? You don't have any retro games you wanna?
I have too many.
Just pick
But
one.
in the interest of time.
Just give us.
Ryan is a.
I'm
retro
cutting
gamer.
it. I'll make the decision.
Well, I'm inspired by Chris. There was an NES game that no one played called Little Samson, where it was a little side scroller, and you could be a hero, a golem, a mouse, or a dragon. And this is going back to even GTA.
I mean, those sound like they would all
and
go
they all
in
had
the
their
same
own.
game
They
together.
all had their own little ability, and I thought it was really cool. And I've always felt like not enough people played it. These kind of later in life, like released in like 92, 93 NES games. There's some really awesome stuff like Mr. Gimmick and that. I think Mr. Gimmick may have only been released in Europe though. There's some cool stuff that people I think would really dig, especially as there's been a big renaissance of 2D platformers and people love the Castlevania, Metroid style of games.
Great. See, that wasn't that long. You did a great job.
80s movies.
I'll talk about it more if you want me to. We'll do a separate spin-off podcast. The only thing I was wondering about that sort of came up in the last week was this whole rumor that Durango, or whatever they're calling it, is like 6 months behind where they want to be.
Was it the actual hardware that was behind, or was it the
We should
titles?
say this is totally a rumor.
This is totally a rumor.
Totally rumor.
Yeah, but
it
like I
seems
thought
to
the
be-
rumor was that the first party Microsoft titles were behind. I didn't know if it was the hard. I thought that's what I thought. That's what I thought I read was that the software was behind where they wanted to be, like their their deadline marks or whatever.
I mean, I think we're gonna find out in 3 weeks, right?
Well, are we though? I mean, if technically it's not going to come out, they could still just say we don't. I mean, we don't know if it's delayed or behind because we don't know the official date that they should have come out in the first place.
And even if
you know what I mean?
Even if it sounded like it was kind of both, right? It sounded like there was some
I
sort of.
I could see software totally not being where they want it to be.
Right.
But
Especially if there's Kinect 2.0 integration everywhere.
at this point, I feel like they have to launch the hardware this year.
Well, no, they have.
Oh,
to.
they have to. Yeah, there's no way they're not going to.
that's going to happen.
But that was so confusing. I mean, I was just sort of taken aback by when the rumor first hit, because it seemed like way before anyone was talking about the PS4 or whatever that code name was, Orbis or whatever it was. What a weird, that's like a gum. It felt like people have been talking about Durango for like a year and a half. Like way early. It seemed like
the leaks have been nonstop.
Yeah, it seemed like, well, I mean, I'm sure Microsoft's got their shit together, but then this thing comes out and it's sort of like, oh, bummer. I don't know.
I mean, the other thing is people say Microsoft is building up their cachet of in-house development because it's a trickle, right? I mean, they use Epic to make Gears of War. They put out Forza. They put out Halo. And some Kinect games. So yeah, there could be things that maybe they're missing these launch windows that we don't even know about, and maybe that's where that kind of mistranslation, like a game of Telephone that kind of came out as a rumor. It's like, these games that we're working on, we'd like them to be launch window, but we're gonna have to wait 6 months. So it's more things to be anticipating down the line. And we've all seen, like Watch Dogs, Thief, I'm missing Destiny, right?
Yeah.
Those are all going to be current gen and next gen.
Yeah.
So I think, there's going to be games to play as well.
It happens every launch anyway. I mean, anytime, anything, any
well, look at the
system
Wii
launches,
U. I mean, they spent their load at the beginning, and it's like we've gotten like Lego City Undercover. And that's about it.
And what did the 360 have? It had like Cameo.
They had a big launch. It's just none of the games were
COD
all that
2.
good.
Yeah.
Perfect Dark. King Kong.
Oh, right. Fucking
King Kong.
Forza.
I forgot about that.
A lot of good games to rent, not a lot of good games to own.
Right, and I feel like that's just every console that launches.
There's usually the one title.
Yeah.
And for the Xbox, it was Geometry Wars. So
yeah. So as long as
You
they've
don't
got
think
that.
COD 2? I thought COD 2 was like the must-have Xbox 360 launch game.
But by that point, hadn't people already? Wasn't it already a PC?
It was
like,
a PC game for like what 6
It
months?
was.
or
It was a
something?
nice HD experience, I guess. But I think people were already at that point burnt out with World War II a little bit.
Yeah.
Jesus, this World War II, right?
Well, it
I
never
actually
ends.
miss World War II now with all this modern combat stuff.
I know. I kind of want to revisit.
Like I want some Spielberg-esque orchestral,
Saving Private Ryan.
I want like
Not
a
Schindler's
good,
List.
huh?
Not Schindler's
No, not
List.
Schindler's List.
I want a Korean War.
Something, yeah.
No one ever talks about the Korean War, except for MASH.
Michael Bihn's character in Blood Dragon is a veteran of Vietnam War II.
That's
actually
awesome.
we have never had a really, really good Vietnam War game, right?
I would agree. There's
they've
like
always
Purple
been like
Haze
really
and stuff.
bad. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I-
remember playing Purple Haze, there was 2 at the time.
There's been a
There were
few.
2 games that came out. One was Purple Haze and one was another one I can't remember. Conflict Vietnam? I don't remember.
Is there a
I kind
cutoff
of
for how
hate-
long?
I don't like war games in general, though.
That was going to be my question. Is sort of like, is there a weird moral cutoff in like how much time can pass before you release a game?
There was, because when the Vietnam War games came out, it was news. And then that's when I was at G4. Within 2 years, Kuma Wars, that horrible online first-person shooter game, was doing wars based on the Battle of Fallujah from last week, or that Battle of 6 Days in Fallujah, which was canceled. I think Konami was running it. And then people were like, there was less uproar. There was uproar, but less uproar than the Vietnam War game. And I think it's just the accumulating speed of culture where things are just going.
Well, and also Modern
breakneck.
Warfare. Was it the first Modern Warfare that brought you to like
Fictional country?
Yeah. That's their one kind of way around it. It's like, oh, it just happens to be in the Middle East.
If it works
but we're
for
not
Metal Gear.
referencing- But I remember when we were kids, and when some of us were kids, I guess.
I was non-existent.
I don't know. I mean, you had a Genesis, right? Do you remember a Genesis? Or was that?
No, I don't know.
That was tiny.
My cousins had it. I just went to their house.
There was a Genesis game that was called like Gulf Strike or something. It was an electronic
You're right,
arts game.
you're right.
That was,
Was it
one of those
isometric? Yeah, no.
helicopter things. But I'm pretty sure that was like about the Persian Gulf.
Yeah,
and
I
that was
think you're
only a
right.
couple years older.
Operation Desert Storm.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was.
Storm and Norman.
That was exactly it.
Well, Rob, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me, guys.
I hope
This
there's
was
been
great.
some colorful commentary from you. And this is a special episode. That's the Seedlings talk has been fixed in here, edited in here somewhere.
Oh, I can't wait to do that as well.
And now this is one of our last weeks with the interns, and it's been a perfect storm where all the interns are here on a Thursday when we shoot, and we are giving them 10 wild and wacky minutes to do their own little podcast.
Unsupervised, right?
Unsupervised with Nick and his booming voice cracking the whip. So
And by the way, the brim of that kid's hat, you could set your watch to. It's so straight. It's just perfect. People should make sure to download the
his hat's also murdered out,
What does that mean?
black on black.
In memory of Miguel.
Oh.
It's like those cars. So for Marcus Beer and everyone else, this was Invisible Walls. Stay tuned for the interns.
Hey guys, interns have commandeered Invisible Walls momentarily just to talk about our internship. We got me, Nick Plessis, Mike Huber, Danny Flores, and George Gabriel. We were all internships here for last semester. I did 2 semesters here. And we're just going to talk about just a little bit about our internships. First, we're going to do the worst game we played at the internship, and then the best game we played that we don't think we would have played had we not done the internship. So I'll go first. Worst for me is Grand Theft Auto 1, believe it or not. I just couldn't stand that game. It was functionally just not playable to me. I know these guys like don't agree on that, but it just, for me, I could not. It was terrible. One of the worst games I've ever played. And the best, probably Chivalry. I'm a PS3 guy. I've never been a big PC guy at all, but Chivalry was just a load of fun. Any of you guys play Chivalry?
Yeah.
You did? Yeah. Chivalry? No. It's kind of like Call of Duty medieval times.
It's really chaotic sometimes.
Yeah, super chaotic. Cut people's heads off. It's just like very visceral and very tight controls. A lot of fun. And yeah, those are my 2 picks. How about you, Mike?
Easily the worst game, Tomb Raider. Well, all the Tomb Raiders, but more specifically, Tomb Raider Angel of Darkness. She tried to get like more modern setting, more like street-wise, trying to be like film noir, and just absolutely my most hated game I think ever in my entire life that I've played. I think the other interns can attest. With,
we all had to play. We all had to play Tomb Raider for a little bit of many Tomb Raiders for the retrospective that went up a couple months ago, and we all have picks for worst game. But I think we can all agree, early Tomb Raider series, some of the worst experiences of our lives.
Just brutal.
Just painful.
Best game I got to play that I probably wouldn't have played was actually Sim City. I know there's a lot of hate out there on that game, but I think I had a really good time with it, and like. I've always been kind of into Sin City, but I don't think I would have picked up the new one. But it's definitely better than a lot of people make it out to be.
Okay. How about you, Danny?
Well, yeah, Mike stole mine, but probably the worst one I played, which wasn't a bad game, but would have been Cart Life. I wasn't really able to get into it.
What? I saw you playing it, but like, what was it?
You're like characters trying to like earn enough money within like a week to like. For whatever reason, there's different characters, and there isn't like much as far as gameplay. There's just a lot of walking around.
Is that the one he was saying is like text-based, or is that a different one?
Yeah, no, it's text-based. Well, no, not exactly.
Okay, all right.
Somewhat.
How about your best?
Probably Battle Block Theater, just because it was ridiculously fun. George and I played it together, and I don't think I ever would have picked that up, like just on my own.
Cool. All right, how about you, George?
So the worst game that I played here was Dead Island Riptide.
I can attest to that.
It's kind of not fair for me to say that because I really don't care for zombie games in general, but overall everything about this game was just not good.
Yeah.
I would definitely not recommend it to anybody out there.
Absolutely. The fire, like
flickering
between
everything
like 3
about
frames.
it was just so bad. You can tell that they just kind of rushed and threw it together. Not a great game.
Totally agree with that. How about your best?
So best game would probably be Sly Cooper Thieves in Time. I say that because at the time I didn't have a PS3, and I'd always kind of wondered about the Sly Cooper series in general. So for me, getting a chance to play it here was definitely a great experience, and I actually went out and got a PS3 so I could play it.
Really? No, you don't have a Vita, correct?
I do not have a Vita.
So if you get a Vita, you'll be able to. It comes with the.
Yeah, it does.
With the Vita
I will probably
crossplay.
replay it again on the Vita.
Really? Okay, cool. Right on. All right, yeah. So and now we're just gonna do one more thing. Where we're gonna talk about our best experience here, just like as the internship, what we did here that was the coolest for us, the best experience for us, and we're gonna talk about what we took away from this internship. Why you guys might want to apply in the future, why it's a good internship. For me, best thing I did is I did a lot of cool things. I've been here for 6 months. I've done tons of crazy stuff. Probably the coolest thing I've done is go to Santa Monica Studios to do GTTV on God of War. God of War, I've kind of mixed feelings about the final game, but being there, like watching them do their stuff, I got to talk with the director. I got to ask him questions, personal questions. I got to help with the filming. Like that's just something I'll never forget. In like skills I took away from this, writing easily. I've done a fair bit of writing for the site, and Miguel Lopez, we all remember, he helped me incredibly editing, like learning how, just the way you want to write, super helpful, and that's something I'm going to take on to my professional career, easily. How about you guys?
Best moment was I got to go see them film Battlefield 4, like some of the cutscenes, motion capture. Michael K. Williams was there. I got to meet him a little bit. I'm a huge fan of The Wire and Boardwalk Empire, and he plays 2 main characters on that show. So it was really cool, really nice guy. And then just seeing how the whole production went down, they were all dressed up in their motion capture suits, and just we were on set. There were, lights everywhere, director, all the equipment, just how many people were involved in that process was just really eye-opening and really just, could never do that without.
Was it a live action shoot? Or?
Yeah, they were filming one of the scenes like from the game. So it was
so like mocap.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So it was their last.
That's really cool.
It was the last day of shooting for him, so they were wrapping up.
Okay, awesome. Where was that?
It was in Santa Monica somewhere. It was
okay. Cool. Right on. How about you, Danny? Now, Danny doesn't come in quite as frequently as the rest of us. You're about 1 day a week, right?
Yeah, about once a week. And I think the best thing for me is really just being around, all these other gamers and people, like-minded people. We have a lot of different opinions, so we were just always talking about different things and, trying to, see what we each think is, better. I think for me, I did a lot of indie games, and I got to do a lot of, like all the footage for certain videos was all captured by me, and just seeing that, taking a script and then seeing that be on, online just was a pretty good feeling.
Cool. What'd you say you took away from this, like skill-wise or experience-wise?
I think really being able to break down a script and just seeing, this is what I need and how can I get it as quickly as possible.
Okay, cool. Right on. How about you, George?
So the best experience for me was being able to do my own episode of Level, and I did it on Super Mario Sunshine, and I chose that game specifically because I always feel like no one gives Super Mario Sunshine the love it deserves. So for me, being in this sort of area, I had a unique opportunity to put my love and passion for that game out there onto the net. And I got a lot of views, and a lot of people really responded well to it. So that was a really great experience for me. But also, I had always wondered how people, or how gamers or game reviewing sites reviewed their games. So coming here was super unique for me to see how, or get a behind the scenes glimpse at how the reviewers here go through their processes, see how they break down a game and write the script, and how they eventually give it a score. If I could take anything away from that, it would definitely be just the experience of, producing my own content here. It was really awesome.
So you're rocking that Hawaiian shirt in Sunshine?
Absolutely. Super Mario Sunshine secrets.
Okay, and Michael, what would you? You didn't really have a takeaway section.
Oh.
What would you say you took away from this?
I'd say video editing. It's such an intimidating thing. I think video editing. There's, you just look at the layout and it's, Final Cut or whatever, Premiere. It's just so intimidating at first, but all the editors, everyone here has been so helpful, and it's just given me the courage, I guess, to just dive right in and start editing videos. Like I did one last week just on my own at home. I just was playing Dark Souls, messing around, nothing crazy, but just getting some footage and just chopping it together, and I think that's how you learn.
Yeah, I think we come in at least I came in not really knowing anything about video editing.
Yeah,
and I feel like I'm
too.
much more comfortable with that.
Absolutely.
So they really.
Yeah. All right, we got a little time, so just real quick, we're gonna go through Endgame. Where do you guys want, using this internship, where do you guys want to end up? Like, best case scenario. For me, honestly, it's GT. Like, I want to work here permanently. I've wanted to work here for past couple years. Like, this is my ideal job. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I'd say the same thing. Obviously, GameTrailers, everyone here is just so down to earth, so nice. Everyone is so cool. But yeah, I just love writing about games, talking
Yeah.
about games. So
Totally. Now, Danny's a game programmer, is working on his own game. You went to GDC, correct?
Yeah, I was at the GDC.
Yeah, right.
So I'm
and
still,
so where do you want to end up, Danny?
hopefully, if things work out, I'll actually be making games. That's still the plan.
Who do you
Still
think
trying to-
for if you got to pick, if you got a choice?
My top choice really would probably be ArenaNet up in Seattle.
Okay.
Just like they've been, a company I've wanted to work at for a really long time, but right now I'm pretty open to anywhere.
is that Guild
Cool.
Wars?
How,
Yeah,
about, how about you,
Derek,
George?
you a big fan?
Same thing as you two. I would love to work here, and just being in this environment is so great. As a gamer, getting to communicate with other gamers and see their views and see why they don't like certain things or you like certain things. It's just a great environment.
Totally. All right, so we're the interns of GameTrailers. Thanks to GameTrailers for accepting our internships. We all had a lot of fun here. Ryan Stevens, Miguel, Justin, Chris behind the camera, always like everyone on the editorial team, all the editors and the bays, like always helping us out. You guys are all really great, and we appreciate it. We had a lot of fun.
Thank you, everyone.
So, all right, we're out.
See this and other GT shows and game reviews on the GT Originals iOS app, available now on the App Store.